Hello and welcome back to my channel where I show you how to make easy Indian food at home. Please subscribe if you haven't already. Today I'm going to show you how to make bhature. So bhature are one of those things where everybody seems a little intimidated to make them, but once you see my recipe, you're going to want to try them at home. So for this recipe, we're going to simply start off with some ingredients that most of us will have laying around our house. Some all-purpose flour, salt, baking soda, baking powder, some semolina, and some milk powder. So we're combining them all together and we are going to add a little bit of ghee to this mixture. I'm starting by mixing it all together with a fork. You can do this with a spoon or with your fingers or with a whisk if you like. This dough is going to be a little sticky, so just know that ahead of time. To our mixture, we are adding some plain yogurt. The yogurt and the baking soda and the baking powder are what's going to help this dough become softer. It's going to help it rise a little bit. The milk powder also helps make the bhature at the end be softer on the inside. And the semolina is what's going to help the bhature become kind of crispier on the outside. So once we added all of our ingredients, we're going to add some warm water to bring this together as a dough. As you can see, it's fairly sticky, so at this stage I'm adding a little bit of ghee to help it kind of unstick from my fingers and stick to itself. And once your dough comes together, we're going to cover it with a warm towel or a paper towel and leave it in a warm place for at least an hour if you can. It's not going to rise as much as the dough would for if we were using it with yeast, but it does rise and it rests a little bit, and then we just give it a good knead afterward by adding a little bit of ghee to the hands again. This is a fairly small recipe, so it only makes about 6 bhature, but you can very easily double this recipe and it'll work out just fine. I like to squeeze out the dough from between my thumb and forefinger just to kind of make sure that the dough balls are already formed into a ball. Makes it easier to roll them out, and just make sure that all the balls are about the same size so that all of your bhature are about the right size. But it doesn't really matter. Do whatever you like. Once we have our dough balls rolled out, because it's going to take some time to roll out the dough and fry it, we don't want the rest of the dough balls to dry out. So you can either cover this with a wet cloth again or add a little bit of ghee on the outside. Okay, so let's go ahead and start rolling this out. We're going to start with a well-oiled surface. I added a little bit of ghee to the bottom, and then I put my dough ball there and I flattened it out and added some ghee to the top as well. I'm rolling it out a little bit thinner and longer than I need to because this dough shrinks back on itself very, very easily. So by the time you lift it and put it into the hot oil, it's gonna shrink. So try to make it a little bigger, and make sure that the oil is really, really hot. So before you add the bhatura, do a little test with a small piece of dough, and if it comes floating up to the top really quickly, that means that your oil is about ready to go. So once you add the bhatura in there, you do want to keep pressing it down into the hot oil, making sure that the oil comes over the top of the bhatura, and just keep pressing and lifting so that the bhatura will fluff up a little bit. Be very careful. If there is a hole in the bhatura, it is going to start spouting out some oil at you, so try to use a longer spoon if you can. And then once the bhatura is light golden brown, that's when you know it's ready. Let me show you that one more time. So we're rolling out the dough a little bit bigger than we need to. And then once you add it in there, you can see that it's shrunk a little bit, and it shrinks even more once you start pressing it down. And you can see that when I press down, the oil comes on top over the bhatura, which is what's helping it fluff up a little bit. And then you don't want to do that until it's fully fluffed. You want to make sure that you flip it over before the other side overcooks, and then you can always flip it back if it wasn't fully cooked. And that's it. So the bhature do need to be cooked in the hot oil, otherwise they will start absorbing the oil inside if the oil is not too hot. As you can see, the bhatura is really crispy on the outside but soft and flaky on the inside. It's delicious and you have to try this recipe. Give it a thumbs up if you like this video, please. Don't forget to check out my last video for the chana masala to go with your bhature recipe, and please subscribe to my channel and hit the bell notification.